This video is going to show you how to find missing sides in a triangle and trig values using a triangle. Suppose cosine theta is less than 0 and sine theta is equal to 6 over 10. What is the value of cosine theta and tangent theta? So cosine theta is less than 0. That means that this is negative. And we know that cosine is represented by x, so that means I have to have a negative x value. Sine theta is equal to 6 over 10, so sine is positive. So because sine is positive, sine goes with y, so I have a positive y. So if I look at a coordinate plane, quadrant 1 is both positive, quadrant 2 is negative x, positive y, quadrant 3 is both negative, and quadrant 4 is positive x, negative y. So I have a negative x and a positive y, so I'm in quadrant 2. So I'm going to draw a triangle in quadrant 2. Our triangles always get drawn from the origin and down to the x-axis, or up to the x-axis. So here is my triangle. Theta, or your angle that you're referring to, is always inside, located by the origin. So sine theta, if I use SOHCAHTOA, sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite across from my angle should be a 6, and my hypotenuse should be a 10. So now I need to find the missing side in my triangle. So if I have a right triangle and you have two sides and you're missing a third, you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember that c squared is always your hypotenuse. So 6 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. 36 plus x squared equals 100. Subtract 36 on both sides. X squared is equal to 64. Square root, you're going to get 8. Now remember, when we square root, it's a positive and a negative 8 technically. You need to determine, is it positive 8 or negative 8 based on the location of your triangle. So because I'm moving to the left on the x-axis, it's going to be a negative 8. Because remember, my x value is negative since I'm in quadrant 2. Now they want me to find sine. No, we have sine. We want to find cosine theta and tangent theta, because that was what the question was asking for. So cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine theta is equal to negative 8 over 10. Tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So tangent theta is equal to 6 over negative 8. So that's what the question was asking for. We'll take a look at one more example. If sine theta is negative 5 over 13, and 180 is less than theta, which is less than 270, find the values of cosecant theta, cosine theta, and secant theta. So this question is actually asking about some reciprocal functions. So if you don't know what a reciprocal function is, there's another video on that. But other than that, it's set up the same way. They're telling me that I'm between 180 and 270. So my quadrants, 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, I'm going to be in quadrant 3 because it's between 180 and 270. So I'm going to sketch my picture. Triangle goes out from the origin and then to the x-axis, and my angle is always inside. Sine theta was given to us in the question, opposite over hypotenuse. And it's a negative. Your hypotenuse will always be a positive, so that negative is going to go with the 5 because I'm going down on the y-axis, and my 13 is a positive. So now to find my missing side, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. negative 5 squared plus x squared equals 13 squared. Notice how I've put the negative 5 inside the parentheses and the squared on the outside. That's important because otherwise your calculator will give you an incorrect answer. So 25 plus x squared equals 169. X squared should give you 144. You're square rooting each piece. X is going to be 12. So I'm going to put the 12 in on my picture, but I've gone to the left, so my 12 is negative. Because remember, this point down here is negative x, negative y. So both my x and my y have to be negative in the third quadrant. So now they want us to find cosecant, cosine, and secant. So I'm going to write out my SOHCAHTOA. Let's do cosine first because that's the easier one that we're used to. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine theta, adjacent is negative 12, hypotenuse is 13. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, 1 over sine theta. So that means all I'm going to do to find cosecant of theta is flip the sine fraction. So instead of negative 5 over 13, it's going to be negative 13 over 5. And then secant is 1 over cosine theta, or the reciprocal of cosine. So secant theta, I'm going to flip my cosine fraction, negative 13 over 12. So that's how you find missing sides in a triangle and then use those missing sides to find different trig functions.